Hey there, today I'm studying Psalm number 30, and this is the book that I'm reading from. And this psalm is very deep. To give an overview, it teaches us not to be distressed if God visits suffering upon us in this world, for only through suffering can one enter the world to come. So basically, we all undergo different forms of suffering, whether it's financial or relationship or health. And right now we have like a collective suffering, the wars in the world. So these forms of suffering are to cleanse us. It's kind of like a spiritual detoxification of our wrongdoings, and ultimately for our betterment and for our own good. So today I want to look at two specific verses in Psalm number 30 to go a little bit deeper into this idea. And also, if you have the chance to read this actual book, it has a lot of like in-depth commentary about the Psalms, and there's a lot that I'm leaving out. It goes into like the difference between a psalm and a song with a G, and it's very deep about like the angels, and we just don't have time to go into everything. But I want to start with verse 6. It says, the second half of the verse says, when one retires at night weeping, joy will come in the morning. So it's always darkest before the dawn. So right now, like globally, the world is seeing a lot of darkness. But again, it's a recurring theme that after this darkness there's going to be light. So for us to have faith and hope and pray, that the light comes quickly, and we do that through acts of loving kindness for other people. So I want to read a little bit of commentary about this verse 6. It's called Beneath the Wrath. So the idea is that when one retires at night sleeping, it's because God has weeping, sorry, with a W, it's because of God's wrath. God is angry with the world or with us because of our behavior, and brings some kind of calamity upon us. So there was this great rabbi, his name was Dov Ber of Lubavitch, and when he was 7 years old, he wrote the following. During the prayers, I understood the verse as follows. When we contemplate the fact that God is ultimate goodness, we recognize that even what from our perspective is wrath is in fact life from God's perspective. So this is like elucidating more about that idea. One who is calm, and the line from the verse in Hebrew is ki rega, and has the ability to contemplate divine providence, sees empirically that even in God's wrath there is life. Be'apo chaim. The ultimate purpose of wrath or suffering is life, since it causes us to reassess our lives and to improve. Thus, the condition that caused us to cry at night has become the catalyst for dancing and joy in the morning. So basically, the similar thing happened in World War II, where 6 million Jews were murdered in the Holocaust. And then the dawn after that darkness was that the state of Israel was born, because the world realized that the Jewish people needed a safe haven, so that if another world war happened and the Jewish people were in threat of annihilation, and they would have a safe place to go. So basically, the birth of the state of Israel in 1948 was the light after the darkness. And again, it talks about this in verse 12. You have turned my mourning, not AM, my mourning, my grieving, into dancing for me. You have undone my sackcloth and girded me with joy. Sackcloth refers to the clothing that people wear when they're in a state of mourning. So the commentary on this verse is, this alludes to the events of Purim. So that's the Jewish holiday when we celebrate our escaping the annihilation that we were threatened by Haman. The wicked Haman was persecuting the Jews, and he wanted to kill all the Jewish people. But Queen Esther and Mordecai and God intervened, and that did not happen. And instead, Haman was killed and his 10 sons. So when the mourning of our people was transformed to joy, so during the times in Persia, the story of Purim, it's found in the scriptures in the book of Esther. The ultimate transformation will occur in the Messianic age, when God will transform our mourning into joy and will comfort us and make us rejoice from our sorrow. So this is from Jeremiah chapter 31, verse 12. So this is a common theme of that it's always darkest before the light. And a lot of people are saying that this is the last period of darkness before the ultimate light, before the coming of the Messiah, when there will be an era of peace, and there will be no more wars, and there will be no more, terrorists. But what precipitated the recent events, there was a lot of political unrest in the state of Israel. And there's this idea, this thought that, all hatred is self-hatred. So when we see the terrorists trying to annihilate the Jewish people, it's a wake-up call, because the Jewish people themselves, prior to this incident, the October 7 massacre, were not united. There was the liberal left were practically having a civil war against the conservative right, the secular versus the religious, and everybody was so disunited. And so a lot of times these types of wake-up calls bring people together. They bring so much unity, in fact, that it's overwhelming, because when the war broke out and people started needing blood transfusions, you saw in Israel lines of people down 2 blocks long to donate blood, and people are donating more supplies for the soldiers than they even need. So there's this outpouring of giving and loving kindness, and everybody's putting their differences aside and becoming united, when this is what God wanted in the first place, is for unity. And so when people in the world are not united, and we let our differences of opinion and our political positions and all that divide us, then we receive God's wrath, and we get reminded that we have more similarities than differences, and our differences are not important, and that we need to put all of that petty stuff aside and come together. And we need to be united and do acts of loving kindness. And that's all that he wants. God is like a parent. Any parent doesn't want their children to be fighting. They want their children to be united. So again, the actionables are increased acts of loving kindness, increased study and prayer, study of scripture and prayer, and keep the faith and keep the hope alive, that although we are going through a period of darkness, that the light will come. So thanks for watching. God bless you, and have a great day. Bye-bye.